Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June 20th special meeting of the town of Forest Heights. The time is now 8:01, and this meeting will come to order. Mr. Coleman, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Council President McDonald,
Present.
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Councilmember Brownson,
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Noble, and Mayor Lilly.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
Did you say you had a quorum?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, we'll now have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, next we will have approval of the consent agenda. This includes meeting minutes for April 1st, March 4th, May 15th, and June 3rd. Is there any member who would like an item pulled from the agenda?
The minutes for the consent agenda, I can't approve that. It has some errors in it. For one, my name is misspelled, but it's 72 pages long and I didn't get a chance to go through it thoroughly.
Was that the most recent minutes?
Yes,
Okay, so would you like to strike those for consent?
yes. I don't know what anyone else have done, but
Mr. Mayor. If I may, due to the backlog of the meeting minutes, one, they're legally sufficient with misspelling. We had to use a service to go ahead and translate these. The meeting minutes are 72 pages, 100 pages, 41 pages. So there's we spent quite a long time going through these. I understand there might have been one or two misspellings through it, but they would be legally sufficient as they stand to get them out of the way.
no.
But
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. I think if one member doesn't consent to that, we can pull, is that June 3rd, Councilmember Brownson?
The ones that he provided this week, yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble.
Good evening, all. I had a question on the minutes. How long are we keeping the actual minutes, the recordings? What's the retention period?
I would have to check the retention period for recorded meetings versus the actual handwritten ones. Yeah.
And I guess my concern is for the minutes that they've been not so accurate getting to us in a timely manner, so that that we still should maintain some record somewhere, even maybe longer than the retention period.
Yes, Councilmember Noble, and to your point, these how these were transcribed is the actual meeting itself. The video is attached to the minutes. So the video itself is the minutes, and then this is the transcription that was pulled from it using AI and then putting it through spell check as best as possible. So I do apologize for the spell checks, but they're quite extensive and we want to make this deadline. We can go back and fix anything else that's there, of course, and bring them back again.
Yes, we'll do that. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Brownson.
I just have one question about the minutes. If we're just gonna use the transcript, it's always gonna be 70 some pages. I thought the purpose of the clerk is to take the transcript and make notes for the meeting.
That is, unfortunately, the clerk was not doing the minutes. And where we were forced to use a transcription service to catch up to where we're at. Moving forward, we are doing a synopsis of it, so it's not going to be verbatim, so you won't have 72 pages. We hope that it'll be 4 pages at the most, maybe 5, depending on how lengthy it was. And I think rather than saying wasn't doing it, didn't get to it during a time frame to get it to mayor and council would be better stated. But either way, that you won't have this in the future. It's painful for staff to have to go through and do as well. So
So with that being said, we have a process in place to record minutes and motions and substantive data this evening, correct, Mr. O'Connor?
yes, we do.
Okay. Public's not allowed to speak at this time. We'll have a public period. Yes, you'll have 2 minutes to speak during public period. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Okay, so with that being said, I move that we approve the minutes for May 15th, March 4th, April 1st.
Access, sorry, I don't have access to, the board, so I wasn't able to see the minutes. Board docs.
Mr. O'Connor, did you send minutes out via board docs and also via attachment in email?
I sent May 15th out via attachment, but the other ones were too large, so they're in board docs. The username and passwords were sent out,
Okay.
but yeah, if we want to move this to July so people can log into board docs and open it up that way, then that's perfectly fine, but
Okay, well, let's do that in the interest of time. So I move that we strike the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we strike the consent agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we will have approval of the main agenda. I move that we approve tonight's main agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's main agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
We're trying to put that.
Ma'am, I would just ask if you would not make comment during the public meeting. We'll open public period shortly. Thank you. There's a motion to approve the main agenda on the floor. Is there a second? All right, has been moved and seconded that we approve. It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's main agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we'll have the first public period this evening. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? If so, you can come forward and you'll have 2 minutes. You can provide your name. You'll have 2 minutes to provide comment. Well, ma'am, just 1 second. Let me get your name, and if I could be Miss Gross. Miss Gross. Good evening, Ms. Gross. Thank you for being here.
Minutes posted. Because the community should be able to see the minutes where they're posted.
Oh, well, thank you for your question, Ms. Gross. The minutes are posted on the town website. Mr. O'Connor, do you know the specific page where the minutes are posted on the website?
I can pull it up right now.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gross, there's a section on the website called the Clerk's Corner. And the Clerk's Corner has ordinances and resolutions. There's also a link to meeting minutes. Mr. O'Connor, who's the interim town administrator, is looking up the exact location. We'll give that to you this evening. You're very welcome. Thanks for your comments. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Okay. If you could please give your name, you'll have 2 minutes to provide comment. Is it Ms. Scudder who's trying to speak at this time? They are on the agenda to present after public period. Okay, so I'm gonna take the guess that Ms. Scudder is not trying to speak right now. They're on the agenda to present in just a few moments. So since we're not hearing anything and there's no one else who wishes to speak during public period at this time, public period is now closed. Okay, next we will have presentations. And the first presentation will be from the National Capital Parks East. We have Mr. Michael Donato, who represents the United States National Park Service. He's going to come and present comment on the Oxen Cove Trail project. Good evening, Mr. Donato. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate being here. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm so happy to be here with the community of Forest Heights tonight. As a matter of fact, I actually started out my National Park Service career right here at Oxen Hill Farm. It was my first job as a park ranger right out of college. And now I am the chief of staff for all of National Capital. Much better, right? And I am the chief of staff of National Capital Parks East, which includes Oxen Hill Farm, all the way down Fort Washington, Piscataway, Anacostia, the BW Parkway, the Suitland Parkway, Capitol Hill Parks. It's extensive. But I am here to talk a little bit about the Oxen Cove Trail rehab. So many of you may be aware that we have started a major project to fully repave the entirety of the Oxen Cove Trail. That trail that goes around Oxen Cove ties into DC. And we're also installing a new permanent bridge to finally reconnect Forest Heights with the park and with the trail there. So I'm very excited to share that work is well underway. They have cleared the base of the new bridge site so they can start to lay the foundation. And they're finishing the paving of the trail from the DC line to the existing bridge over Oxen Run. And then the final stage will be paving from that bridge down to the actual like Oxen Hill Farm side of the trail. So we are anticipating having that project completed in September. So we're fingers crossed, everything goes well. I was also made aware by our maintenance chief. I stopped and talked to Kristen Hutchinson is our maintenance supervisor for this district of Oxen Hill Farm and Oxen Cove Park. She is wonderful. If you've been down to Oxen Hill Farm recently, you'll see the conditions have really improved. And that's a testament to her work. She wanted me to pass along that she's aware of a large kind of dumping site where like the trail ends between that and the elementary school there. And so she plans to be addressing that dumping site relatively soon. There's a large pile of trash. So you'll be seeing that come out pretty soon. And then I also just wanted to share a couple of bigger park updates because the updates for National Capital Parks East affect this community with Oxen Hill Farm, but also I know that you all are users of our other neighborhood parks like Shepherd Parkway, Anacostia Park, Fort Washington. So one, I just want to start out by saying we are hiring. So if you know anybody that is looking for a job with the National Park Service, please direct them to usajobs.gov. And you'll see park jobs that'll be tagged National Capital Parks East with the National Park Service. And I'm also going to be putting on some federal resume writing workshops. And the National Park Service as an agency actually does those on Zoom every 2 weeks. And so if you know anybody, career counselors, things like that, that you can connect with me, I'm happy to kind of create that connection so that folks from the community can come work in their parks. So the second thing I just wanted to share, we have a couple of cool upcoming events. I'm going to start with July 4th. So everybody knows DC goes all out for 4th of July. And it's time that those of us east of the Anacostia and in Southern Maryland get on that bandwagon. So we are going to have 3 major events on the 4th of July in National Capital Parks East. The first is at 11 a.m. at the Frederick Douglass National Historic Site in downtown DC, out in Anacostia. And that at 11 a.m. we're going to do the "What to the American Slave is the 4th of July" speech by Frederick Douglass. So we'll have an actor actually portray the speech, and then a park ranger kind of give some commentary. There'll be a band and special house tours. So that'll be kind of midday on 4th of July. And then for the actual fireworks, we're actually going to have park staff for the first time in Anacostia Park, which is a really popular place for people to watch the fireworks. We've also partnered with DC EMS. We'll have an EMS team there. And we're closing part of the road so that pedestrians can kind of spread out and really feel safe and comfortable in Anacostia Drive. So you can watch the fireworks from there. And then I remember when I worked at these parks at Oxon Hill Farm, and I actually worked at Fort Washington. That's another very popular place to watch the fireworks from. And so we're going to be doing a cannon firing demonstration around sunset. And we're going to have, I think, 6 or 8 park rangers there to provide some historical information and greet you. So Fort Washington will be open for the fireworks this year. So those are some big events going on for the 4th of July. And then just 2 quick other things. On July 13th, we do have the 50th anniversary of the dedication of the Mary McLeod Bethune Memorial Statue in Lincoln Park. Miss Bethune was an amazing person. And 50 years ago, in July, we dedicated that statue to her in Lincoln Park on Capitol Hill. And this year, we hope to pay homage to her and honor her legacy by holding a major ceremony there. We're going to have Mayor Bowser. We'll have representatives from the National Council of Negro Women and CNW. We'll have hopefully a couple other dignitaries, the Marine Corps Band. It'll be really cool. So come on out the afternoon of July 13th. And then the final thing I wanted to share is Anacostia Park. We are going through a development concept plan for Anacostia Park. So what that means is basically kind of a long-term strategy of what that space looks like. I'm sure many of you may have visited the skating pavilion there, but there's also boat launch access, fishing access, biking and hiking and walking and fields to play games in. So I really encourage any of you who are interested in Anacostia Park and in having a say in what that park looks like for the next 20 years, really, to come out. We're going to have public comment. This is the final chance for the public to comment on Anacostia Park's development concept plan. The comment period opens next Tuesday, June 25th, and goes through August 30th. So you can do that online, but we're going to hold an in-person meeting at Anacostia High School next Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. where you can come provide your comments in person. So those are some of the updates going on around National Capital Parks East. We're going to, of course, be hopefully establishing a closer relationship with you all. Part of my job as chief of staff is to be the liaison between you all government officials and our park. So if there's ever any needs that you have, just let me know. I'll happily share my email with you all. Any maintenance issues or compliments you want to share, I'm here to help. So thank you very much for the time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. Really good to hear the updates. One thing I wanted to make sure we got correct was the name of the woman you shared when you were talking about the dumping area that's between Forest Heights Elementary and the trail.
Yeah, so our maintenance worker supervisor for Oxon Hill Farm is Kristen, Christin Hutchinson, Hutchinson. Hutchinson, Inson. And she is phenomenal. She really has a great eye for the animals and caring for them there and fixing up the trails. And so, as I said, she's keeping an eye on everything that's going on down there and working to improve. But as I said, you can reach out to me for anything and I'll happily share my email with any of you all. It's Michael, Michael _ Donato. So that's Donato, Donato at nps.gov. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. And Mr. Mayor, you have my phone number. Feel free to call.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. I'm going to open up to questions from council members. Council President McDonald.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Donato. A couple questions. One is the date for the comment plan is June 25th through
August 30th.
August 30th.
Yep, for Anacostia Parks plan. Yep.
And are there flyers? Where could we find information on it?
Great question. So there are some flyers. We have a press release out. If you go to nps.gov/ANAC, it's Anacostia Parks website, and just go to the news tab, you'll see it'll pop right up.
Okay.
And I can follow up by sending you an email with a digital flyer if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Donato? Councilmember Noble?
Thank you for all the updates. Question on Oxon Hill Farm. In the development, will the bathrooms be renovated, updated, or is that part of the plan as well?
Just to clarify your question, are you talking about the bathrooms at Oxon Hill Farm? Okay. So the development concept plan is just for Anacostia Park, just to explain. I don't know about the bathroom update for Oxon Hill. I can check and get back to you though.
Please, because we have camps and they visit there as well as I visit there on occasion, and the bathrooms are very, very old. And it's very, very dark in there, even in the daytime. Thanks.
Thank you. I will check on that.
Council President McDonald?
Another question, Mr. Donato, about the opportunities. So there's a federal resume writing workshop. How do people get to learn about how to sign up for those workshops?
So there's another flyer I can share with you, and
Okay.
it has the Zoom link, and it's a standing meeting it's either every 2 weeks or twice a month. I don't remember off the top of my head. And it's run by the National Park Service's National Recruitment Team. But I'm also happy, to connect with local recruiters, career advisors at schools, because I can provide some of that more local knowledge here in DC and Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Donato, for the updates. We're looking forward to building a much stronger relationship with the National Park Service. Looking forward to the renovation and rehabilitation of the trail that runs through Forest Heights so that the residents who live in town and live in the area can take advantage of the great view that's at Oxon Run and folds into the Potomac River.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you. Next, we will have a presentation from Petro Development. This is going to be on National View project updates. National View is the 20-acre mixed-use development, which has been annexed into the town of Forest Heights. And at this time, we have Mr. Tom Matea and Ms. Tracy Scudder on behalf of Petro Development.
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we're just going to give us one moment. We're going to turn the volume down. We can hear you very, very well, a little too well.
Okay, sorry. We are having trouble signing in. Andrew signed in and he was logged off and he cannot sign back in, and and we'll be making the presentation. So we need some help getting him.
Yeah, let's see
in.
if he's under attendees. I see there's one person listed in attendees. Is that who we're looking for?
I see multiple people on the screen as Charlotta Hawkins. That's how we see on this side. Help getting him
Yeah, let's see if he's under, if he's under attendees. I see there.
I'm actually on the phone with him now, Mayor Lilly. This is Tracy Scudder. This is Tracy Scudder speaking. I'm actually on the phone with Andrew now. He said that he was able to log in initially.
We see it on this side.
Okay. Yeah, let's see if he's under, if he's under attendees. I see there.
Him now, Mayor Lilly. This is Tracy Scudder.
Yes, we can hear you.
Scudder speaking. I'm actually on the phone with Andrew now. He said that he was able to log in initially.
We see it on this side. I
Yeah,
saw him on the screen and then he disappeared.
I see it. Okay.
Him now, Mayor Lilly. This is Tracy Scudder.
I apologize. There's a Zoom delay on the audio, but is there a dial-in we can give Mr. Clayman to dial in so we can at least hear him audibly?
Well, he has a presentation to show. So we have to get his connection.
Okay, well,
Maybe.
just a moment. I think we have a solution. Mr. O'Connor, can we just send him the login, the meeting ID to sign in with? Will that work? And we can elevate him to a panelist after that?
It was already in that invitation, so that's, I
Okay,
don't know what's going on with, and why we have three Miss Hawkins up there either, so I don't.
okay.
John, the ID, there was no link. You have to go to zoom.com and sign in as an outsider and use the seminar code and it's a little convoluted how to get in the meeting. Tracy.
Are they able to send Mr. Clayman a new link? Because he was in the meeting and then it sort of kicked him out. And then when he tried to log back in, it said that the host had removed him. So initially he got in, then he was kicked out. Then when he tried to get back in, it said the host had removed him. So he can't get back in now using that link.
Okay, well, give us just a moment. We're gonna try to get him another link and give him another chance to sign in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us, ladies and gentlemen, while we get Mr. Clayman in so he can present. How is our progress looking so far? Okay.
Same stuff. I'm gonna try sending it to them.
Just one second. Is Miss Scudder still in the meeting?
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
Okay. Is Mr. Clayman able to use the meeting ID from the email to sign in just by logging into zoom.com?
He tried that.
But because I was removed once, it's not letting me back in.
He says that because he was removed once, it's not letting him back in.
You could ask the mayor if it,
You want us to read?
I don't want to delay the meeting.
I got it. I'm gonna send you an email with the passcode. Just give me a second and
Give him a second.
Right.
Or you'll have to log into the regular Zoom meeting. Use the Zoom meeting ID and the passcode that I just sent you, and it'll allow you to log in.
Let's give it another minute, and if we're not able to get it done now, we'll move to we'll amend the agenda and we'll come back after we're able to get Mr. Clayman in. I'm gonna give it one more minute. It's 8:34, 8:35. We'll move forward in the agenda and move this item after legislation.
Okay. How's it going, Andrew?
Just a second. No, it didn't let me in.
Okay, he's still having problems. So I think what you just said, Mayor Lilly, he probably needs a little more time.
Okay. Well, I move that we amend the agenda for tonight. We'll move the presentation from National View and Petra after legislation. We'll insert it after legislation before the other items on the agenda, which would be. We'll move it in front of the second public period.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a second?
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, moving the presentation from Petra and National View to after legislation before the second public period. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, the first piece of legislation that we have tonight is ordinance number 05-24. This is an ordinance of the town of Forest Heights, adding Article 27, Community Garden of the Ordinance Code of the town of Forest Heights regarding the use and administration of a community garden and generally relating to real property. This is the second reading of ordinance number 05-24. I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 05-24.
A second.
Would you like to make the main motion, Council President? I know this is one of the things you sponsored. You can move that we approve.
I move that we approve the ordinance 5-24.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 05-24. Is there a second?
I second.
I'm sorry. It has been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 05-24. Discussion. Council President McDonald.
I would like to say that, first of all, acknowledging our original gardeners, and the, Denny House partnership is helping us to move forward with our, opportunity to have a community garden, vitalized and getting people involved to participate in the community garden has been very rewarding. So we're looking forward to more individuals or persons coming to help us to make this a community event and make it where it's welcoming and something wholesome that we could build community around. So, thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Is there anyone else who wishes to add, comment, or speak on ordinance number 05-24? Councilmember Noble?
Yes, I want to thank the original gardeners as well, and just let everyone know that the community is noticing, and everyone's excited about it. They plan to come and grow some things, so we'll see how that goes. But you can find any one of the gardeners over there at any time watering or planting. So every other Saturday, this Saturday, the master gardener will be there with what she calls a seed talk, and just informing us on how to grow. And then every Wednesday from 10 to 2, they're at the garden. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble, for sharing the information about the garden. Councilmember Brownson.
I just want to make a correction. The master gardener changed her schedule, so she's going to be there on the 2nd and 4th Saturday now, not every other Saturday.
Okay, and so the 4th Saturday would actually be this Saturday coming up, the
Yes.
22nd.
Mhm.
That's good. Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember.
The seating lessons start at 10. They'll be there early reading, and so if someone want to come out early and volunteer, pull weeds, help rebuild some of the plots, that would be helpful. Or get community service hours.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Kennedy.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's always wonderful to see progress. For those of us who remember that basically used to be where they dump leaves, it's come a long way. Obviously, getting water is also a key thing that would help the original gardeners. The only question I have is when this resolution, when the talks were done for the garden, were the original gardeners participant in the talks?
Yes.
They were. Go ahead, Council President.
Yes, Council Kennedy, the original gardeners participated in the Green Team meetings that we have held. And also, they were at, I know Ms. Audrey was at the seeding education seminar that we had. So yeah, they've been engaged and they are as involved as they're available to participate.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 05-24? Hearing none.
I did want to get clarity on one thing, Melanie.
Council President McDonald.
And this is, I guess, just trying to get clarity on the water. Because we have been watering the garden a lot. So I just want to make sure that we're in order with what is noted here in the resolution. Mr. O'Connor? Yes. Because it says here, what is it, pull the container when requested for additional times beyond 12 basic times, delivery fee and all that kind of good stuff. Haul rate, disposal, all that good stuff. I just want to make sure that we are.
Yeah, that's, they had to haul the water.
Oh, well, this was before the implementation of the new. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. That helps.
That is a good question. Just one moment. I apologize. I know in the public meeting, we just have to restrain public comment to those times, but thank you. I know you understand. Thank you for being here tonight.
Ma'am,
Councilmember Brownson.
the garden, for those in the community that don't know where the garden is located, it's 135 North Huron Street.
On the west side.
On the west side of town. Yes,
North Huron Drive.
and that's for anyone that want to stop by on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Do you have more?
Yes.
Okay, Council President McDonald.
I guess for transparency, I just want to make, I think I brought the water up for a reason too, because I want to make sure that the water is not going to become an issue for us to continue with the garden, because we use a lot of water.
No, I think I just saw the last bill and it was not anything that you would need to worry
But,
about
okay.
budget wise for that line item.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you, Council President McDonald, Councilmember Brownson, Councilmember Noble.
On that note, just for budgeting purposes for the next garden cycle, then we need to know how much we are spending on water. And it depends, it could rain so we just don't know. I mean, but water is your least expensive utility bill.
Thank you, council members. Mr. Coleman, can you call the roll, please?
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
and Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
You guys have it. Councilmember Hines?
She's not
No,
online.
She's not on.
online.
Yeah,
No.
she's not on.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, next we have resolution 25-24. And this is a resolution to approve a green purchasing policy. This is the second reading of resolution 25-24. And I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 25-24.
I move that we adopt resolution 25-24.
That's a different one. Is there a second? It has it's been moved that we adopt. Is there a second?
Yes, I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 25-24. Discussion. And if we can just get another report comment from council, get another overview of the purpose of resolution 25-24 and what it will entail. Mr. O'Connor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's the green purchasing policy, and what it does is it states that the town will make every attempt to purchase green, environmentally friendly when possible, when feasible, and place that as a priority as its initiatives. The staff will, this also ties into the Maryland Municipal League Sustainable Communities Program, and as such, staff will get a memo, which is required from the town administrator and about this, along with a copy of the resolution. All final purchases related to tracking for the green policy, of course, would come through the town administrator's office with the final approval. It is highly encouraged that we track whatever purchases are for the renewal of the Sustainable Communities designation that we are trying to achieve. And that's what this does. It's an environmentally friendly purchasing policy.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Brownson.
Well, he said what I was gonna say, but I also, with the Sustainable Maryland, they noted that the resolutions must be posted on the website. So we will make sure we get that out there as well.
Thank you for that note. I'm making a note of that as well, Councilmember Brownson. Thank you. Any other further discussion on this resolution? Mr. Clerk? Council President McDonald.
I just want to say one thing. The town of Forest Heights is doing a phenomenal job with the purchases that we've already made and contributing to environmentally safe products and purchases. So I just wanted to make that point that, you know, we're moving forward, but just trying to get some credit and also some highlighting and acknowledgement around what the town is doing so far as environmentally sustainability and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to share that part. Thanks.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. You're correct. And hopefully Resolution 2524 will help cement our efforts to do that more intentionally. Councilmember Kennedy.
Yeah, this is if the acting town administrator can repeat what he said. Did you say that the town administrator has the final say on it?
No, not the resolution, but if there's a purchase made, the tracking of that and the approval of that purchase, as far as administration of the budget, falls on the town administrator.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And no, we cannot purchase Teslas with ludicrous mode for police vehicles.
But the police department was recognized for their e-bikes, using them on patrol by MML.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Is there any further discussion on Resolution 25-24? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Council Member Lilly,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. Motion is adopted. All right, next we have Resolution 50-24. Next, we have Resolution 50-24. This is a resolution to approve the contract for trash and recycling services with Good 50.
Mine's a 51 as well.
Okay, well, I do see that as well. Mr. O'Connor, can you get a clarification on, is it Resolution 51-24 or 5024?
The 50-24 is the town clerk. Mhm.
It's labeled 51.
Mhm.
24.
Okay. This is 5124. Okay. All right, so. Let me see what it says on the agenda.
The actual resolution says 51,
Okay,
Mhm.
which is fine because the other one's gonna be tabled anyway, so it won't go anywhere.
okay. So. This is going to remain 51-24?
Yes, you can
Okay.
leave 51-24, that's fine.
What is it listed for you, 51-24, Council President?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 51-24 is a resolution to approve an amended contract with Good Companies Incorporated or CGI Residential for residential trash removal services within the town of Forest Heights, Maryland. I move that we adopt resolution 51-24. Is there a second?
We can discuss it. I'll second it.
Okay.
We'll discuss it, yeah. So it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 51-24. Discussion. Mr. O'Connor, can you give a highlight on this resolution 51-24, please?
Yes, the town, during the tenure of Mr. Robinson, the town entered into a 3-year contract with Good for trash services. That contract was in its final year and no bid was done for this particular contract with Good. However, the contract does end on the 30th of this month for trash service. There is a standard escalator in the contract for inflation, which falls within the budgeted amount for trash removal services with Good. It has passed, Mr. Best has reviewed the resolution and the contract for legal sufficiency. Ultimately, if the council chooses not to approve this one, we would go out to bid. However, trash service with Good would end on the 30th.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. I'm going to go to Councilmember Kennedy.
Okay, so is this basically just renewing the contract as is what we are used to currently?
There's no changes in the service schedules or anything that we've already had for the last 3 years.
Okay. I know I've stated on several occasions that I would like to see both sides be sort of equal. The side opposite the side of McDonald's, you have basically everything on one day. So that way you don't have to remember this day is this day is that. I would like to see the same thing happen on the opposite side of town where there's one day for everything to be picked up as opposed to people having to remember, yard waste and trash goes out on Monday and then the other two go out on Thursday. So if there's any way possible to talk to Good and see if that is feasible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a problem. We had some conversations about that when we were talking about the contract last week. So I don't see those logistics being an issue. I'll discuss it with them and see what we can do.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. I know we had Councilmember Noble. Council President McDonald, I'll come to you. You can go first. Member Noble first.
Yes, I think we always get to the bewitching hour with this contract that we don't put it out. I don't know what glaring signs, or is it every meeting for 3 years you have to say the trash contract is coming up? And then in reference to Councilman Kennedy, I think it needs to be a survey of the people on the west side, because some don't have a problem with the different days because they've become accustomed to it. So then if we do another change, and I don't know, I guess we just need to survey to see if that's something that people want. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Council President McDonald, and I'll go to Councilmember Brunson.
Okay, a couple things. So one is, we talked about before with this contract, that when we don't make a decision in a timely manner to reconsider or consider another service provider, then we're behind the eight ball and being able to respond. So that's what we're dealing with right now. That's number one. Number two, I just have a question about the 8% cost increase. Is that something that we should be mindful of, Mr. O'Connor?
I think we should be mindful of any cost increase. 8% for this type of scale of contract is more than reasonable. Other contracts are seeing escalators of 12, 13% based on inflation, fuel. Having conversations with them, Good was trying to push a higher percentage, and I absolutely refused. They were very cordial about it, and I just said that's just not going to happen for us. We have a budget. We've set our rates up. We're not gonna do it. And being that we've been with them for so long, I think it was just very easy for them to go ahead and agree to the 8%, but there was no go below 8%. I thought it was reasonable based on the trash pickups and the price of fuel and labor and everything that we're seeing, and the CPI. One of the things to note is that the cost of our contract is a little bit more because we do have double pickups, but at the same time, our customer service is exceptional now with Good. We used to have a lot of problems, and I say exceptional based on what we were dealing with before. There's still room for improvement, but our complaints have gone down because of the way it's been said. We can look at different things, but yes, to your point, always be mindful of any increase.
So, also, Mayor, I just wanted to make a couple more comments. So if there's any reconsideration in terms of this contract, we need to provide writing in at least 90 days prior to June 30th, 2027. So the council needs to be mindful of that, if that's something that we're thinking about doing. Also, there was some discussion, I guess, around compost and them providing that service, Mr. O'Connor, or that's going to be something that we can't entertain, or what?
It is cost prohibitive.
Okay.
However, the way we can do it for composting is with the community garden, and Miss Denny is there, be able to set that up where, there's going to be no cost. And to reassure Mayor and Council, I have spoken with the mayor, and there's two different platforms that I am researching now, which are not very expensive, that all of these contracts that we have go into. And this contract itself should start the bidding process 1 year prior to the actual award. This will send the reminders. It'll be in the emails. It will go to all the pertinent people, treasurer, finance, DPW. There should be no reason this does not get bid out again when that time comes.
Okay.
I've heard exactly what Councilmember Noble said every meeting. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Let me just add a quick comment. Council President McDonald and Councilmember Noble. This year, I asked about the trash contract in April, or in thereabouts, and the renewal notice date was April 1st. And so we had just missed the time period to elect maybe potentially not to go through with this contract. However, what we looked at once we got it and were able to negotiate was that if you spread the 8% over the last 3 years that we've had the contract, it comes out to less than 3% increase a year, which if we consider inflation, it's not desirable, but it's manageable. And to Mr. O'Connor's point, we're gonna use technology to help us to be alerted of deadlines for contracts, because we don't want to bring things to you last minute. So I'll go to Councilmember Brownson.
Okay, so, my question wasn't on the 8%, but since you said the 8%, that's 8% of the cost each year. It's not spread out through 3 years. 8%, 3% 1 year, 3%, 2% the next. It's 8% each year. Am I correct?
It's not compounding. So it's whatever our standard price is, that price every year. So it's 8%. If the contract's let's say it's 2, I don't know the number off the top, but if it's 20, let's say it's a $26,000 increase. That's the increase we're going to see every year. It's $26,000 on top of whatever it is.
Right, so it's not spread out. Okay, my question was, when we signed the contract for it to be renewed, if you didn't do something by April 1st, was there any way to negotiate another year versus 3 years?
Well, not without technically having to go back to a bid, because the original bid was there, and that I can rely on the original bid that was done with the other companies. If I went outside of that, it would have been new parameters to an already existing contract. So if I asked for 4 years.
No, I was thinking 1 year.
Oh, no, it's the same thing. Even a 1 year would have been outside of the normal bid. I would have had to start the whole process out and put it out to the other companies. If the parameters are kept the same and within tolerance, I don't need to bid it out. But shrinking the contract or increasing the contract changes the substance of the contract.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Noble.
Just part of the previous contract, the reason that we had multiple pickups on one side was to help the trash contractor, because he said he couldn't take all of that. And that's why we started with these different dates. So that was to assist in the pickup. So, and I don't know that he would change it, or because the load was too much. It was some reason he had. And that's the contract that Mr. Robinson presented to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. I don't see Councilmember Kennedy's hand. Mr. O'Connor, what was the previous annual increase on the prior contract?
I do not have the information on the increase from the previous 3-year contract. But I do have the bids that were submitted, so I could probably get that real quick. First 3 years.
Mr. O'Connor, I see it here in the invoice.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Great,
It went
thank
up
you.
about.
Could you turn your mic on, Mr. Frankenfield?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
So the old contract was about $2,000 a month less than the price we're paying now. So about 24 grand a year.
24 grand, that's a lot.
Now, I'm talking about our prior contract. So this is back 22 to 23.
Do you know can you estimate what the percentage difference is if it's?
What's the relevance?
Yeah, so the last change was about 15% increase. It went from 15,661 a month to 17,971 a month.
Thank you, Mr. Frankenfield. Is there any further discussion on resolution 51-24? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mm-hmm.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
President Lilly, my apologies, Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
Ayes have it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Motion is adopted. All right. I move that we amend the agenda. Under legislation, we have an item that would be appointing Mr. Coleman as the interim town clerk. However, I move that we amend the agenda to remove that item as Mr. O'Connor has identified some potential candidates for clerk and will be moving forward to reviewing those folks next week. Mr. O'Connor, do you want to provide any additional comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a second to remove the resolution that is that would appoint Mr. Coleman as the interim town clerk?
I second.
Already second.
What was that, Councilmember Kennedy?
Yeah, that's fine. She can second. I've already seconded, but you didn't hear me.
Okay. Well, it's been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, removing the resolution appointing Mr. Coleman as interim town clerk. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, for your help during the meetings, for recording the minutes, the votes.
All right, all right.
That's why I got all the meeting minutes open on my screen now.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Coleman. It's been a true team effort here this year from the town of Forest Heights, the staff. We really appreciate everyone who's pitched in and helped us. And we are getting to a place where we're going to solidify a lot of our key roles. And so thank you for your help. We want to keep them here outside of the meeting. So
Anytime, Mr. Mayor.
all right. So with that change, we'll be going to resolution 52-24, which is a resolution to accept the resignation of Ms. Veronica Spears from the Office of Ethics Commissioner. And I move that we adopt resolution 52-24.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 52-24. Discussion. And since this is a new item since our last meeting, Mr. O'Connor, could you give an overview of this resolution, its purpose, and any other pertinent information, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Received a notice of resignation related to the Ethics Commission from Ms. Spears. Soon after created the resolution to accept that resignation. There's vacancies on the Ethics Commission. Recognizing those vacancies, worked with Ms. Payne, we got access to the board, and we are now advertising for anybody to fill volunteer positions. Anybody that wants to volunteer for the Ethics Commission or any other board or committee with the town of Forest Heights can email townclerk@forestheightsmd.gov and/or call, and we will gladly entertain you serving in a volunteer capacity for the town, and we look forward to our volunteers. And again, that's townclerk@forestheightsmd.gov.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Are there questions from council on resolution 52-24? Councilmember Bronson.
I just have a question. Are we required to have a certain amount of members? I can't remember the the charter, but are we required to have a certain amount of members on the ethics committee? And if so, how, I noticed her resignation was March 6th, and this is just coming due. So what efforts have we done to replace her since March 6th?
So I just got the letter. And it came in the mail. I don't know why it was received and that's when it was actually handed to me when the postal service came through. So it must have been stuck somewhere, but either way, I just got it. And what we've done is we've advertised. And as far as members, I believe it's a minimum of 3 members on the Ethics Commission. However, I would defer to Attorney Best on the required members on that one, but I do believe it's a minimum of 3, and they're supposed to meet quarterly.
Has that been happening?
If there's an ethics complaint file.
Oh, okay. Has that been happening, do you know of?
So where the our other boards and committees there needs to be a little bit more interaction from staff and working with the volunteers and getting the agendas put out and setting things up and working with them a little bit more. I think the will is there from the volunteers. It's just a matter of
Somebody coordinating it.
that's it. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Took
Okay.
the words right out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Noble.
So I'm to not guess that there have been no ethical complaints to be addressed since March.
There's been no ethical complaints received by the town that has required any response from the Ethics Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor and Councilmember Noble. I guess we have to go back to having food at the meeting house so I can think.
Get it from the garden.
Is there any further Is there any further discussion on resolution 52-24? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
The ayes have it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And that concludes our legislation for this evening. But while we're here, I would just like to, actually, I'm going to do this later. Never mind. I'll do this later. We're going to have our second public period. I'm sorry. We're going to have the presentation by National View. I think Mr. Andrew Clayman is actually back online now. And
Yes, I am, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience, sir. Glad we have you back. I know you have a presentation that's going to be helpful and informative to the council and the community. Thank you for the community for bearing with us.
I appreciate you, all the effort you went in to make sure that I was able to attend. Sorry, I have not put my camera on, but I'm working off an iPad. And I want to make sure that I can get the presentation up. So if you bear with me for a moment, I'm going to share content and I'm hopefully going to be able to pull up the presentation. Give me just a moment. Oh, it's, I went to share content and I don't have the capacity to do that. It said only a host can share this meeting. Can I?
Nate, can you make him a host, please?
Give us just a moment. We'll give you what you need to present.
Okay. So I'll give you the introduction while we're waiting. This is an overview of the concept updates and of where we are with the stormwater management. And part of this presentation is really a precursor to what we're going to present to the public on Saturday. which came about in a discussion with the mayor over the issue of stormwater, and the Petra team thought that maybe a public presentation about how we're handling the stormwater would be helpful. So what I will present for you tonight is the work we've done from the conceptual site plan to our where we think we're going to be for the detailed site plan. We're still 6-8 weeks away from presenting that detailed site plan, so we still have work to do. And of course, the regulating authorities that we presented to may have adjustments. So this is by no means final, but it does show some of the refinements, and they should tie into the stormwater management. So let me share my screen, and bear with me just a minute while I pull up the presentation. Are you able to see the presentation? Was I successful?
No.
Not yet. Okay, let me try again. Is the screen visible at present? Can you
We can see your
my
screen. Excellent.
Yes. Excellent. Great. So just as a reminder, in case there's anybody here that does not know where the National View site is, we are the red, sort of oddly triangular site that sits between Ox Cove Park, the town, and the town of Forest Heights, and is connected through to the path system, which does run through our site. So in this pair of images, the approved conceptual site plan is on the left. You can see we have 6 buildings. The image on the right, which is our current site plan, has made some adjustments to that. So for the buildings in the light blue, the 3 of them along the front, we have moved the buildings towards the street face, moved the parking behind it, reorganized the parking for greater efficiency, and lowered its height slightly. And buildings also step down between the second and third. For the buildings at the north end of the screen, which is the top that sort of trail off to the left, there were 2 green and 1 blue on the conceptual site plan. The green one are senior housing, the blue is multifamily. We have reconfigured the units, so there are 3 senior housing buildings. We have pulled the structured parking out from below the buildings, which has lowered them, and we've lowered the height of the buildings. So overall, we have reduced the amount of buildings of the units by about 324. We have increased senior housing. So on the left, we have 485. On the right, which is our current plan, we have 547 of the active adult senior housing. We've reduced the multifamily housing, which are the ones in blue. So just so that you can see where we are, this is the site plan showing our buildings essentially in white, and giving you some context. You can see how large the MGM Grand building is, or the retail buildings at the Tangier Outlets versus the National View building. So they're much more residential in scale. So again, here are the unit mixes in the upper left-hand corner of the image. What you have now is the site plan in front of you, and I've rotated that image so that it fits on the site a little bit better. And what we're really focusing in these next series of slides are the public areas. And we're focusing on the development of the public areas because that development goes hand in glove with the stormwater management system. And we're going to work through this plan in 4 detailed blow-ups with images. So the first one is Building A with its retail plaza, where the site pulls away from the building, and the community garden. So you've got 3 images of community garden, plus what we intend for a representative image of what that retail might look like. Trees, planters, places to sit in front of it. The next section, which is between the second and third buildings, Building B and C. This is where the site begins to step down, has a number of pieces. For Building A, it has the grocery store, it has the historic monument, it has several retail buildings, all of which step down the site. And the images that we're showing you, you can see starting with the steps and stadium seating, that would provide planting and water absorbing material in the walkway, plus the historical piece and steps that will act, the stadium seating for as part of a lecture or just a place to rest, plus then retail with steps and ramps. And these are ADA compliant ramps so that anybody with accessibility issues should be able to get up and down the site without difficulty. I'm going to go back to the original one just so you can see it. We have grocery store listed on B. We have public plazas. We also have the police substation, which is located in Building C, and a daycare and an amphitheater. So let me move back to daycare and amphitheater. We have opened a part of the ground floor as a covered public area under Building D for folks to walk through, allow you to get out of the rain. But we've also included a enclosed outdoor play area for the children. So when the weather is inclement, they can be outside and still be protected. And then at one of the most trickiest part of the site in terms of the steepness of grade, we have put in a amphitheater, which also has a stair ramp garden system. And you can begin to see that in the images that we're using below. Now, these haven't been designed in detail, but we're working in that direction. This would be a new public component since the conceptual site plan, and it would be open to both local programming and larger community programming. And when I say larger community, I think Forest Heights in general. So this is public space, all of which we're looking at now, that will remain publicly accessible and in the public in perpetuity. That's part of the requirements that come with the development approvals as we go forward. So I just want to be clear with that. The final piece, which is the northernmost piece, it's the lowest part of the site, has an enclosed dog park, and the enclosure is really critical because it allows dogs to run off leash without worry of running off or the danger of overrunning children or adults. We also have a multimodal pass system, so bicycles and pedestrians. Now, the images here show pass systems that are 10, maybe 12 feet wide. The one we're putting in would be 20 feet wide. It would also be lighted. So, and of course, lots of green space. So the critical piece about this is that all of that green space is part of the stormwater management system. So in this pair of images, The image on the left shows the existing territory that drains into the common drainage pipe between the National View site and the Forest Heights, particularly the Cree Drive residents. That's a lot of water that drain pipe is taking, and as I understand it, doesn't always carry it well when there are large rain events. What you see on the right-hand side in this brown or golden color is the area of the site that we are going to channel in a different direction. And there's still a little sliver of that blue that will go to the existing drainage pipe, but we reduce the amount of water that currently will run there by almost 74%, 73.9 according to our engineers. And that will cover both the improvement of quality of runoff water as well as quantity. So there's a secondary pipe that will run along the road system, plus a whole series of water retention basins, bioswales, all kinds of things that will help capture and move that water off-site in a different direction. We'll take it out of the existing drain pipe. And those bioretention facilities look different in shade than they do along the street. These are just some examples. They come along walkways and at the edge of buildings. And this kind of bioretention has underground structures that go with it that put some of the water back in the ground and the rest of it back into a new storm drain. So with that, I'll thank you. Let me see if I can get us back to, let me stop sharing here, and then I can answer questions. And I will turn on, okay. So I believe I have stopped sharing, and
yes, you did, sir.
Thank you. And I've turned my camera back on so you can see me. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And I hope the update has been informative and useful.
Thank you, Mr. Clayman. Council members, I'll open it up for questioning. Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, I have a question about the stormwater management. In your concept plan, you show that the walkways and the buildings are going to be sloped like downhill in some of them. It seems like it's like going up a hill. So with this stormwater management, you say you're going to insert some additional pipes that will take the water away from the area. Where are you planning on, where are the pipes going to dump this water?
So this water will eventually end up in the, in the river, and then in the, in the Potomac, and then, out into the Chesapeake Bay. So we don't just dump it at the end of our site. It ties into the system that takes it right down to the river.
What system is that? Because we here at Forest Heights, we have a problem with water. So I'm trying to figure out what system.
So it's a new one. We have so there's there's a secondary system that National View will put in place, which is a new stormwater pipe. So everything that runs off the garages and the buildings and the hard surfaces will either go through a bioretention facility, get cleaned up, but it will eventually come into a new drainage pipe, and that drainage pipe will take it all the way out to the river.
And you all will be installing all these pipes in those systems?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That regulating authorities are insisted that we include it, and that is part of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Noble.
A question, how long would this process take, or when will it start? And how long will it take?
So when you say the process, are you talking about the process of building out the system?
Yes.
Okay. So first we have to get through all of the regulations and make sure it's designed properly. Then typically for construction like this, there are two components to it. There's what's called the horizontal work, where the site gets regraded, the building pads are set in place, and the infrastructure is set down. Now, that infrastructure will include the stormwater management system at some levels. So when there is a site that is not built, it will be graded so that it drains properly, but it may not have all of the stormwater management in place, but it will have the drainage pipe in place. So the water that is shed will still be captured and shed as we indicate. So the 74% of the site will be part of a drainage system, but it will happen first as a horizontal piece and then with more detail as each vertical piece gets developed. And the schedule yet hasn't been completely tied down, but this will be a multi, once we start construction, it'll be a multi-year process. If we were to build nonstop from start to finish, it would be 5 to 7 years. It's likely, because of economy and absorption and things, it will take a little bit longer, but the framework will happen up front.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Mr. Clayman, I have a question. Will there be any upgrades to that existing drain pipe, or will that one just remain at its current capacity?
That one will remain in its current capacity. In our conversations with the regulating authority, they said, don't touch it. It is actually sized to take both the Forest Heights side and the National View side. So when we start moving the dirt around and we get the secondary system in place, the amount of water running into it will reduce, which means that pipe will be in better shape. So replacing it would, from a size standpoint, wouldn't be necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Clayman. Council President McDonald.
Yes, hi, Mr. Clayman. I had a question about the multifamily units. You said those were increased?
No, the active adult, the senior units were increased, the multifamily were decreased. So the conceptual site plan had somewhere around 1,880 units. At our detailed site plan level, we are looking at 1,554. So we've lost, if my math is correct, 326 units. Most of those were multifamily units. We actually increased the senior units from 485 to 547.
Thank you.
I will say this, that the stormwater management was only one of the concerns that we went through in our upgrades, making a stronger community, lowering the buildings so that the impact is less along the Cree Drive residents, getting the buildings to be more easily constructed in a more efficient way. All of these things were running through our mind, and the increase in public space benefits us, and it benefits the community. So it's a win for both of us, or we hope so.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Clayman. Are there any further questions for National View and Petra Development on the presentation tonight? Okay, well, this was part one of the community update. Mr. Clayman and some of the other members of the National View team will be here in the town building on Saturday at 12 p.m. So Saturday, June 22nd, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The National View team will be here to give a more detailed presentation on the updates to National View, specifically the stormwater management portions. And the community is invited to come out to that meeting. This meeting is for you to ask questions and to get more familiar with the project as it is going to be part of our community. So we invite you to come out 12 to 1 p.m. this Saturday, right here in the municipal building. And anything else related to that?
Mr. Mayor, I would add that the architect and the engineers will be here. So for technical questions, you won't have to rely on me. We'll have our experts with us and they'll be able to answer questions, which means that you'll get better answers.
For the public, they're here. There'll be technical experts here to answer questions about the project. And then also there'll be handouts because we understand everyone is not very well versed with the project. So if you're just finding out about it, there'll be foundational knowledge about the size, the location, and some of the history and what some of the plans are currently and what is left in the process before the development moves forward. Thank you, Mr. Klayman and Ms. Scudder, Mr. Mateya for being on, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday at 12 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
We
you.
will see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we have come to our second public period. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time?
That's what I do. So I'm sitting here, and I go to many board meetings and all of that and everything. But I'm listening to him with the water management, I'm going through that, got work and everything. But where is this gonna take place? Where is it Eastover?
No, it's gonna be on the other side of town. You know where Oxon Hill Cove and Farm is? When you go to the stoplight at Bald Eagle Road, if you turn right on Bald Eagle Road and go around the bend, you go to the entrance of Oxon Hill Cove and Farm, and there's a private driveway to the right that's currently fenced off. If you were to go down that roadway and ride for a little bit, it'll be back there. Yep. No, not Eastover. Not that we know of. No, it's not. It's not Forest Heights. It touches Forest Heights, but it's not Forest Heights. Well, actually, what's gonna happen is the garden, you can go there as early as 8 o'clock. If you're an early bird, you can go as early as 8 o'clock. It'll run until 12, so you can leave there and come here after. You can spend the whole Saturday morning with us. Oh, and what else did you, was that, and give me your, Miss Ross, was Ross your last name?
Yes, I mean, she's here all the time with everything, you know, but we've been here for like 30 years, okay?
Beautiful.
She's like, I need to get involved.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, and we have strategic planning coming up hopefully soon once the council decides and puts an RFP out for that. That's going to be a big part of our getting feedback from the community about what you want to see and helping us shape the direction of the community for the years to come. So thank you. Councilmember Kennedy, I see your hands raised.
So it's interesting being on this side of the camera. So I do understand what residents used to say about being able to hear. So I think we remedy most of that. But when we have the public period, it would be nice to either have a mobile mic or go up to the stand, because I heard the original portion of what she had said, but everything after that couldn't hear. So she may have asked a question that myself or other people may be interested in the question or answer.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Kennedy. Yes, I'll reiterate, and it's Miss Ross, correct? Miss Ross, who lives on Shawnee Drive, asked about, she has a disability and wasn't able to make it to the mic. So our apologies for the low volume, but I'll repeat what her question was. She asked about the location of the National View Project, which we explained is over on Bald Eagle Road near Oxon Hill Cove and Farm. And then she asked about Eastover and if Eastover is in Forest Heights, which it's not. And she asked if there were any plans for redevelopment of Eastover. We don't know at this point. Was there anything else that you asked? I think that was it. And she just mentioned that She asked about the garden. How could she be at the meeting with National View and at the garden on Saturday? But then we explained that the garden was happening 8 to 12. The meeting with National View was happening at 12 to 1. So you can do both. Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. We'll try to be more mindful of that. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, appreciate that. And, thank you for everyone who took the time to come out.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Ross and Mr. Mile, who's here in person as well. All right, next we will move into council member and mayor reports. Oh, and I'll begin with Ward 1, and I'm going to go to council member Little.
Good evening. I just wanted to encourage the residents to come out to the garden. I went out to the garden for my second time this past Monday, and I seen the improvement of everything coming together. It's cleaned up. The little plants are growing. I learned how to water the garden beds. You got to stick your finger in there, make sure it's what. Anyway, and I'm also interested in doing my own bed. So it got me interested in, being outside and gardening and agriculture. So I definitely encourage you guys to at least come out and see what's going on. And then, you might be inspired. Thank you.
Thank you, council member Little. Council President McDonald.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just a few things. We are here in the town of Forest Heights is looking forward to submitting our application for Sustainable Maryland, Sustainable Forest Heights into the application into the University of Maryland's Sustainable Maryland. So we have gathered quite a bit of documents and information. We had a meeting with Liv and Mike Hannahake at University of Maryland. And so we're looking forward to submitting our application. Hopefully we will be certified as a municipality in the state of Maryland, and hopefully that works out for us. So then the community garden, we meet again every Wednesday from 10 to 2 p.m. And then every second and fourth Saturday, our master gardener is there to teach us about seeding, about growing. And we're reiterating the same thing because we're all excited. We've been showing up at the community garden, and it's just a really a blessed experience to really plant, to learn seeds and planting and watching the seedlings grow, and it's just amazing to me. So I have been excited about it. I am grateful to Denny House and Kalila and her team and the young people who come out to give us their sweat and energy in helping us with creating an atmosphere of welcome to the community garden. So then on this Saturday, we'll be there. The Denny House will be there at 8 a.m., but we'll be there. The green team and the individuals who are in the community garden will be coming there at 10 a.m. this Saturday. We will not have a finance committee meeting this Saturday, and we will not have a Ways and Means meeting this Saturday. So I just wanted to share that. And then also this weekend, the Maryland Municipal League is hosting their conference, and myself and some of the other council members will be attending that conference. So thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Next, we'll go to Ward 2, and we'll go to Councilmember Kennedy online.
I'm glad to welcome everybody virtually or in person. I'm glad to see that the community garden is still thriving. I definitely appreciate all the people who are helping now, but I do have to say a special thank you to the original two people that transformed that from being a dump site of leaves to, you know, basically the basic foundation that it's turned into now. And that would be Miss Clark and also Mrs. Coney. You know, it's amazing seeing both of them out there tilling that soil with, of course, help from Public Works and, you know, whoever else may have came out there originally building the beds and, you know, laying the foundation for what it is now. The town, you know, always has need for volunteers. So any, you know, student that needs community service hours, just a reminder, you can, you know, get that, you know, in your own community where you live. Also, anybody else, you know, from out of town if they need community service hours. But I appreciate everyone who has put in a lot of effort. Also, Ms. Hawkins, you know, who's put in a lot of effort and work behind the scenes to get everything that we see now to the point it is.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Councilmember Brownson.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I just want to mention that I attended the Third Baptist Church Community Day last Saturday. It was a great turnout, and I actually spoke on behalf of the town of Forest Heights. But they had a good turnout. You know, the fire department was there, and the Boys and Girls Club of the greater area was there. An empowerment group that works with parents of children. They work with the single parents, and they work with the parent and the child to make a better individual, called the empowerment group. So I have their cards and stuff like that. I will give out to everyone. But also they said the Third Baptist Church want to be in the community, and they said that they're willing to help Forest Heights with some of the outreach that we need to do as far as book bag giveaways for school year and some of the, you know, food pantry and all this stuff. And they want to work with the other churches and faith-based organizations that's in the town. So that was a good turnout. So I do want to mention, I know everybody's been hopping on the community garden and what we're doing now, and that is great. But I do want to mention the purpose of the community garden. And the purpose is to teach the residents and the community on how to plant and grow their own food so they can live and eat healthy and have nutritious food, and show them how they can actually grow their food in their own backyard. So the purpose of this now is all this overwhelming, you know, we're doing this, we're doing that, but the purpose is to help the individuals that live in the community to be able to seed and plant and grow their own food organically so they can be healthy and well. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson, and happy belated birthday.
Belated birthday, Brownson.
Councilmember Brownson, her birthday is June 19th. So she's got a Juneteenth birthday. But we know it wasn't 1865. That's next. You're welcome. Next, we'll go to Councilmember Noble.
Update Ward 3. This past Wednesday, we had Dementia Friendly America South County here. We had a food demonstration. We had it wasn't tuna, but it was, what was it? Seaweed, no. Some kind of beans. She's trying to tell me,
Garbanzo beans.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Slash.
But it had a tuna taste. If you like it, you have to acquire the taste. And then we had black bean chili. So, and we had some sweet natural tea. And Mr. O'Connor's going to check because we want to have our July meeting here as well. And we're developing we're developing relationships with the faith base. So we're going to get that going for the town of Forest Heights as well. And on Saturday was Gabriel's Law. It was a walk. And the mayor may talk more about that. So that was at the national, I could talk about it. That was at the National Harbor. Now, delegate kind of educated me a little bit. A law was passed this past session. Her son was in another state and he required attention. And because she was in this state, they wouldn't go check or do a welfare check. So eventually, when the check happened, he had passed away. So this law for the state gives the permission to reach out to other places. But what I really learned, squeaky wheel gets all the attention. This delegate ran that bill. That law was effective in one session. In one session. So what that tells me is when we need something done, we're going to have to squeak our wheels. We're going to have to be a constant reminder. And that means the whole community, not just one person, it's all of us showing up and demanding, not 4 years from there, not 5 years from there, but in one session, and we're not going to accept anything less. So that's my mission that I'm focused on. We're going to get something done in one session. So that's it for me. It's more, but it's just too much to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. That was a great update. You make a great point. And the great news about that is that delegate that got that bill through in one session is our delegate and has been here. So we'll be reaching out to Delegate Woods to do some work on behalf of the town and the residents, hopefully this next session. All right. So I just want to give some comments and recognize a couple people really quickly. We want to recognize Ms. Jasmine Payne, who's in the auditorium with us this evening. Ms. Payne is our new, again, administrative assistant in the town. And I'm sure council and staff and community have seen emails coming out from her so that she can help us get information prepared, keep the community informed, and generally help us to connect with the residents that we serve. So we're happy to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. And we're looking forward to a good partnership.
I forgot I forgot something on mine.
So Councilmember Brown.
I want to ask Mr. Frankenfield, since he's here, can we get a updated copy of the budget that was submitted to the county if it's because when we had the session, we made some changes and I would like to see a completed one with those changes on it. So can we get those? Okay. And with the recommendations with the cover sheet and page numbers and all those things on it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
So we have the staff, we're gonna task the staff with drafting a budget book that was similar to last year's, where we had all the logos and things like that. Shooting to get that out in July. So is that soon enough for your, okay, great.
July 1st, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Vaz. So thank you to Ms. Payne, who's here. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, who he's thankfully gonna do other great things in the town. We also were just recognizing, we mentioned Juneteenth holiday, which was yesterday. It's LGBTQ Pride Month this month. It's Caribbean Heritage Month, which encompasses people who have origins from nations like Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, Trinidad, Tobago, Dominican Republic, and others. And we have folks in Forest Heights who represent all of those communities. So we're celebrating that this month as well. I was able to be with Forest Heights Elementary during their 5th grade transition ceremony on June the 12th, and actually got to give comments to those rising 6th graders. And it was amazing to be there because we heard that class had done an amazing turnaround. They had so many kids that came up and got certificates for being on the honor roll. And there was several kids that were on the president's honor roll. And there was one young lady who went up. She was just like an overperformer. So she had so many medals around her neck that they thought, she was just like representing the Olympics. We might need to send her to Paris. So that was positive to see. Also, we have talked about things that are upcoming. National Review Stormwater meeting is on Saturday. Talked about the community garden. You all have covered that. will be the council, some of the council, actually, everyone who's here right now. We're all going to Maryland Municipal League Conference next week, where we'll learn about best practices for running and managing municipalities in Maryland. And we're working on certificates. Some of us graduate, and the rest of us are working on the initial certificates. And starting on Monday, June 24th, folks that are in need of a meal, and this is specifically young people, can get one at Forest Heights Elementary. This is something that Councilmember Hines shared with me, and I confirmed with Dr. Thompson, who's the principal. The school's got resources to meet the need of the community. So starting this Monday coming up, if you're one of the students that live in Forest Heights and attend that school, need a meal, you can go to the school. I don't have the times exactly. Mr. Coleman, you know the times? Okay, we'll try to share that information out so the residents can take advantage if they're in need. We also mentioned that the interim town administrator will be reviewing some resumes for clerk candidates, so we're continuing to press and make that a priority. And what else do we have? I believe that is it. So with that, we'll move into new business. Council President McDonald.
Okay, a couple things. The Washington Area Bicycling Association. So I wanted to share this again. There is a partnership. Keith Holland, who is our youth coordinator for District 8, and the Forest Heights Elementary School has come up with a program to educate persons who are interested, young people, on how to ride safely and things of that nature. So they're working on a fall 2024 schedule of classes in which will be in early July. So I just wanted to let the community know about that is moving forward. Also, WABA, which is the Washington Area Bicycling Association, is having an event this Saturday, June 22nd, from 10 to 12 noon. Thank you. Oh, they're having it, it's
New Mexico.
No, it's a barbecue battle kind of thing. If you've never been before, you should perhaps come out.
It's the stormwater meeting.
Where and all that stuff.
Sure will. This is the bike to the barbecue battle. Ride, taste,
Where?
and celebrate. Excuse me. This Saturday, June the 22nd at 10 a.m. Franklin Park. Oh,
Okay.
it's free and it's on Eventbrite.
Well, everyone doesn't use that, and Franklin Park in Washington, DC.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask a question about the meals at Forest Heights Elementary. You said that do you have to go to Forest Heights in order to get the meal, or any student in?
It's gonna be at Forest Heights Elementary. I don't know if it's only students who go there, but that's my assumption. Because is school's out?
Right.
Okay, well then show up.
Well, what I'm saying is usually students that during the summertime, they have a place where everybody can go get free lunch free.
That's what it sounded like.
But you just said it's for Forest Heights Elementary students.
Well, it's gonna be at
What
Forest
about-
Heights Elementary. I'm thinking people that are nearby there to go. I didn't get all the particular breakdowns of limitations.
Okay, so but we do need to let the community know where they can go get lunch during the school break.
And it's at least 4 sites for some period of time. I know it starts Monday, June 24th. I wasn't able to confirm how long. Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, Ms. Payne just explained that she did receive a link for Forest Heights Elementary. That's going to give all the information. It's going to be in July's newsletter. And we'll also make sure that we share it to you guys, and we'll put it up on the message boards.
One other thing, since we're bringing up July, so we've got the Police Activities League summer camp begins July 8th and it runs through August 2nd. And that's every weekday.
That's going to be Monday through Friday. Yes.
Monday through Friday. And Can people still enroll?
Yes, sir. Registration is open and we are already at 75% capacity.
Where can people register if they'd like to?
There's a link that we can post on the website for you guys as well.
Okay.
Everything is technology these days.
Yeah, and we're excited because the students will be going a couple times a week to the the JTCC, or the Junior Tennis Champions Center in College Park, as part of a pilot partnership. So and Dr. Thompson at Forest Heights Elementary said that they actually were teaching students a little bit of tennis anyway. So we got some kids who are already primed and ready, and then we'll get a chance to get some very high level instruction. Hope we can expand the program next year. Alrighty. Okay, so other new business items. One item that's here on the agenda, on the updated agenda, is an emergency stormwater management issue that rose to our attention this week. I'd like Mr. O'Connors to give a brief overview, and as available, we want to get council members over there just to see and observe and understand what the impact is, and why it's an emerging, or why it's an exigent problem.
So we received a report of retaining walls on Cree Drive in the area of 109, 103, and pushing all the way up to 113 that have started to fall. One retaining, now mind you, I'll preface this with that these retaining walls are on private property and are not the responsibility of the town. They actually belong on the landowner to fix this and take care of the retaining wall. However, the walls are falling because the topography of the area is pushing the sediment down, and it's super saturated soil. And what happens is, with the clay base, there's a thin layer of water that gets underneath it. It lifts the soil, it slides, and what we'll have is a mudslide. And what will eventually happen is the mud will come down the hill and push into the homes that are sitting there. So a way we can intercede into this to stop or help prevent some of the super saturation, and why it is emergent, is because, one, we're in the dry season right now, but two, because the retaining walls are falling and the water is still seeping. So we need to seize the opportunity before we get into a rainy season or winter again. On Tecumseh, Blackhawk Drive, and Woodland, the stormwater management system is not managing the water appropriately. So what's happening is if you're familiar with Tecumseh, is the topography pushes in a very steep downward hill. The water is accelerating rapidly during rainstorms, and the curbage and the gutter that's there is unable to maintain the water, keeping it on the roadway. There's no place for the water to collect. So what's happening is it's coming up, rolling down the hill, super saturating the soil, pushing the trees down, making the soil slide. On Woodland and Blackhawk, unfortunately, from years of improper paving that were done on the roadways, the curb and gutter has disappeared. And then at the end, there's improper gutter and drainage. So the pavement needs to be pulled up, proper curb and gutter, and then we need to build a catch basin where the water that's coming down that hill is caught and pushed into the Chesapeake Bay water system that's there for WSSC. If we don't do that, what we are going to see is more water run down the hill, and we're going to see more trees fall, and eventually there will be a mudslide that will impact the homes on Cree Drive significantly. So that hill, basically, what's going to happen is it's just going to shift down. It's already started, and that's why the retaining walls are already leaning. One's almost on a 30-degree angle. Code enforcement went out there, got some photos, but if we get a really, let's say we get a hurricane, and hopefully we don't, that would probably be one thing that would tip it. 6, 7, 8 inches of rain, that mud's coming down, and what'll happen is you'll see the houses tip forward. So we need to get this fixed. We need to get it fixed as soon as possible. We need to stop the water getting down there and pushing it out the right way. So the mayor and I toured it. I walked through every single facet of what I just explained. And I walked it with Chief Reese, so he's aware in case there's a public safety emergency, and code enforcement as well, because they were down there on that side. Now what's left is hopefully getting a resolution together, doing an emergency ward contract to get the work done. There's several different facets that need to be done with that. I've already spoke to Mr. Best. I have to identify the vendors that go along with this to coordinate all the work. The funding that would have to be utilized is the Creed Drive funding, which is reimbursable funds. Mr. Frankenfield and I would have to coordinate very strategically on that, on how everything's flowing in and out in order to make this happen. But the funding is, the grant funding is available, and we need to strategically plan it so the funding is available to support it on the reimbursement.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Questions from Council President?
Yes. So do I understand we're gonna use Creed Drive's money, which Creed Drive needs its money, right? So how are we going to suffice the need for the money going to what you're talking about, Mr. O'Connor, and the money that needs to be directed to Creed Drive, which was already on the books, correct?
Yes, so the way the DHCD grant is written is Creed Drive Stormwater Management.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're actually doing is stormwater management for Creed Drive, because the properties, the numbers, the homes, the properties actually face Creed Drive. And the stormwater issues that are coming down onto Creed Drive are from the upper levels of the topography. So we're fixing the issues on the top of the hill, so Creed Drive doesn't have the issues. So it is a Creed Drive project. There's just no other way to fix it. You have to start at the top to fix the water runoff at the bottom. So that's what we would use it for.
What address you said these homes are?
It spans from 103 through 113. I think the two effective is
And that's your address?
109. Yes.
Oh.
Councilmember Noble?
Now, 20 years ago, our retaining wall did collapse, but it was replaced. Now, those other homes, they've never replaced their. So I don't know. I mean, I welcome you to the back of my house. Because I don't need anybody sliding down from Onondaga into my backyard. Thank you.
No, and we won't be replacing the retaining walls. What'll happen is once we fix the drainage issues that are allowing the stormwater to come down the hill into Creed Drive, we'll have to, there's a possibility we'll work with CPJ for some planning with that and work with FEMA, Prince George's County, Department of Emergency Management for any type of funding through with public-private partnership with the residents. So basically we'll support the efforts of the residents to get the funding for a proper retaining wall.
How soon do you anticipate this mudslide? I want to know. I mean, is it in the future, or is it tomorrow?
Has an engineer been out and assessed this?
So the CPJ will come out and assess the property. But what I will say is that we were out there 6 months ago and both retaining walls were upright and proper. And within 6 months, one retaining wall is fully collapsed and the other one's leaning about 35 degrees. So, you know, an engineer will give you the very nitty gritty, but visually in 6 months, it's one retaining wall's down and the other one is shifted. So that's about 3 or 4 feet shift to push it down.
Okay.
I have a question. Who's CPJ?
Charles P. Johnson and Associates. They're a engineering firm, and they do all of our annexations. And we already have some agreements in place with them. But they're a stormwater management engineering firm, and they do all sorts of engineering, roadway engineering, various things.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Council President.
Yes, Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
So will CPJ be, I guess, allowing for minority business enterprises to participate in this potential project?
So CPJ would not subcontract. They're an engineering firm. They would provide plans and overview and anything else from there. And we would use them for FEMA and Prince George's County aspect. As far as the other projects, yes, any emergent projects that would be taken care of. I always ensure that we have MBE and or veteran-owned businesses that participate in the contracts. Even though it is not a requirement in the charter or anything like that, I make sure that we do have business participate.
Okay, and my second question is to Mr. Frankenfield. Where in here on the budget is this item?
It's down under grants. It's at the bottom section, probably on the last page or second to last page. I think there's 300,000 budgeted this year, and we spent approximately 50,000.
What's the number, Mr. Frankenfield?
I'll bear with.
Oh, the new budget.
While they're doing that, Councilmember Noble, you had mentioned about the trees on, and your other neighbor had mentioned about the trees on a lot that's situated in between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes, and that's why if you notice, when you look at those trees there, they're leaning towards Creek, and there's been a lot falling down. That's the reason.
And that lot belongs to the house.
Yes, we actually viewed it, it's like it's adjoining the one house that you took Humshoe when it turns, it's basically sitting right there.
Well, why they're doing that, Mr. O'Connor? I do remember that Pannoni, their stormwater management firm, they did the study of the stormwater management in the town. It paid a lot of money for that. Have you ever thought about going back to them and asking, looking at their, because the plan is here somewhere in the town, and they could help with not having to hire someone else to do the study. Some of this work is already been done.
Yes, but that plan's so outdated. What I would use that for is to give it to them to use a foundation to build on what they're dealing with now. So it would not.
I mean, the land doesn't change. I mean, it can't be that outdated because the town scope, I mean, the land doesn't change, just the movement of the trees and the dirt maybe, but.
Yeah, it would still, if FEMA, yes, but also the topography definitely changes. And that's what we're seeing right now, but I would use that. It would definitely save us money.
And what about the
Company itself.
We possibly could. We have, we already use CPJ, so they.
And we've used Pannoni before as well, and they've done a lot of good work in the town.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that,
Right.
that firm.
Yeah.
I just, we've worked with CPJ on other ones and they're used by a lot of municipalities.
Well, I think what council was expressing is that even though it's an emergency project or it may likely be an emergency project, we want to make sure that we entertain different vendors and make sure we can keep a competitive process and mix it up so that the vendor who supplies the work remembers they need to be competitive in price and they need to deliver the best value and they need to deliver the best timelines and just to remain competitive because competition.
And use some of the information about the town that we already have and paid for.
There's a large document, it's in paper, I have a copy of it. About a comprehensive study they did of the pipes and the drainage issues all around town. So we would like to, I think maybe our first step can be council gets to visit and see and understand what's going on. And then from there, we can really put a good plan into place so that once we start to do something, we have education and we are able to deal with it comprehensively. Councilmember Noble.
On that, 20 years ago with the plan, it was established that Creek Drive was the worst street in the town of Forest Heights. But as administrations changed, the priorities changed. So respectfully, when we have something from a professional service that tells us 20 years earlier, this is your issue to deal with, then we wouldn't be at Creek Drive today. because it would have been handled, but instead we went to this street and we went to this street and it's just all out of order. So that going forward, no matter who sits here, we've got to use these professional reports as what it says, because it's only going to cost the town more money.
Agreed, council member. And one of the things that we've done staff wise, Mr. O'Connor prepared a draft capital improvement plan, and we'll hopefully be able to bring it to council for feedback soon so that it can establish what projects need to be done, what their level of severity is, and council can decide how to address those based on a professional analysis. Oh, is it Mr. Frankie, Council President? Go ahead. I'll let you ask your question. I think I see it, but I just want to make sure.
Yes,
It's
Mr.
the right one.
Frankenfeld, you're gonna give us the line item for the grant that the
Yes.
stormwater management project is gonna be done under?
It should be on the last page of the printed version, 90152301 DHCD Cree Drive.
Last page? Oh, right here. Okay.
I see Councilmember Kennedy's hand is up too. I didn't know how long it's been up. Go ahead, sir.
So unfortunately, yeah, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 2 years ago, everything boils down to money. Unfortunately, back then we didn't have the money to fix it, and right now we're trying to find funding also. So I just want to put that out there because I don't want residents or anybody listening to this thinking that, you know, the elected body didn't care about fixing the issues of the town. Everything boils down to money, and there are times where it can shift because think about it, we have a lot of streams underneath the town. For no rhyme or reason, sometimes the streams shift and then the priority might shift to another street because that stream is now eroding the ground underneath, you know, the roadway on another street. So just FYI.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Okay, so I think we've got established what we need to do on this project. We need to get council members out to see and then look at next steps for professional evaluation and a plan. The other item we needed to discuss under new business this evening was, and Mr. Frankenfield's here in person, we have a contract with Mr. Frankenfield currently, but it's coming to an end. And so we need to discuss a plan forward. We know we're working through some audits right now, and that we have done a lot of cleanup work as it relates to financial reports, reporting, and getting our budget into a place where the numbers that we have in revenue reflect what we're actually bringing in or prospecting to bring in. So, Mr. Frankenfield, I'll turn it over to you.
We want to talk about contract renewal.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we were engaged probably fall of last year for the fiscal year, help with the audit, take over the accounting, serve in the treasurer's role. That contract has come to an end. What we budgeted for in fiscal year 24 was $80,000, which is a decrease from, fiscal year 25, we budgeted for $80,000, which is a decrease from where we are in fiscal year 24. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're getting a lot of the cleanup projects behind us. We've got the retirement tightened up. We're halfway through to the second of the 3 audits we have to complete. But you know, we're looking for efficiency and how to do the same job a little bit quicker. So that's where we are. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, the status of the audits, other than one time you said, well, someone said that the 2022 or 23 will be done by June 30th.
So auditor pushed us back on 23. His goal is 22 by June 30th. It's getting pretty close. So I think it's tight at this point. But now 23 is going to fall into next year.
Oh, it won't be by December of this year or anything. So can we take back some of that money we gave him?
Oh, we haven't paid it yet.
And it's not gonna be, no, it's not, we're not saying not by December, we're saying new fiscal year begins July 1, so it won't be by June 30.
Right, that's for 22, but for 20,
Well, 22, maybe, but
right,
22, we have, we're very close on what we needed to turn over to the auditor, and in fact, this week coming up, Mr. O'Connor has instruction as directing the staff to make sure we do full court press. In fact, our AP person, Ms. Ward, will be here on Saturday to help go through paperwork and turn over contracts and whatever other items that are outstanding to try to get that gap closed as far as what we owe.
question. What was the name of the lady you said?
Ward.
Miss Ward, does she work for the town or does she work for your contracting company? So does she work remotely? Or does she have hours at the town?
Mr. O'Connor.
It's both. She works both.
Can you say when she's here in the town?
Yeah, I actually, her schedule rotates when she's in the office, but I can get that for you.
Yeah. Is she part?
Coming in this, yes, she's part-time, but hourly. And like this week, she's coming in Saturday to get ahead on the audit and she was here today.
Okay, so she's part-time hourly, okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Ward.
Council President McDonald.
Mr. Frankenfield, sorry. So the contract with the individuals who are performing the audit, you said it's gonna be over when?
His contract.
Oh, your contract, not the ones who's performing the audit. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's serious. Okay.
No,
But we brought it up for the reason that we want to take a full look at the picture of what we need financially. And until then, Mr. Frankenfield is going to so we're trying to figure out how we're going to move forward. And we just wanted to talk about that now so we can be able and be prepared to have a conversation about it and look at how we move forward after this.
after what?
So,
His contract,
That's the end of the month, right?
so Mr. Mayor.
yes.
So I spoke to Attorney Best on that and basically, and Mr. Frankenfield. And Mr. Frankenfield is amenable to continuing to work well and with the amended and a contractual amendment to mayor and council under the same terms that are already there. And that can be fully ratified by the mayor and council based on the terms of either finishing the audit or at which time somebody else is appointed to the treasurer's position. Month to month makes most sense for the town at this point, based on the conversations that I've had, unless there's enough different will of the council.
Council have any comment at this time?
So is something coming for us, before us to sign, is that what you're saying? Or to
Yes,
vote on?
There will be.
Yes.
What'll have to happen is Mr. Frankfield needs to just do a brief amendment. I'll get that to Mr. Best. A resolution will be done and that'll come before you in July. For final approval, but however, in the meantime, Mr. Frankenfield agreed not to close up shop and, leave us. So he'll continue working in good faith while we do that, so.
Our next meeting is July 1st, so he's working to June 30th anyway, right?
That's right.
Well, I have a question. This the only thing I want to know about that's in this budget right here through May 2024 is, can we use the money that's here in the money that we have here in beautification that's sitting there so nicely? Can we use that for the community garden in any kind of way?
My first response is probably not. So we've reconciled beautification and we're gonna use some of expenses that are already in public works, like the public works director's time and expense, or the staff time and expense. And that's not reflective in these reports, so no, we're trying to save what we have left in beautification for salaries in 25. And if the town does choose to use additional funding for the community garden, that's fine. We would just keep beautification set aside.
Thank you, Mr. Frankenfield. Councilmember Kennedy.
Yeah, I think my question was answered. I was gonna ask about what the status of the audit is.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. There are a couple other items of new businesses to be aware of. We don't have to do them all tonight. Just wanted to raise them so we can be prepared. We'll need to do an RFP and think about what objectives we want to ask for in the RFP for strategic planning, since that's in the budget, and it's going to help us to align community and then as a council around the objectives that we'll pursue for the next few years related, whether it's infrastructure or it's community engagement or other things in the town. And then we need to schedule an executive session. We mentioned this in the last meeting to discuss property strategy. We talked about the contract for Alta CPA. We normally have a council recess in August. And so with that being the case.
You said normally. That's only been done once.
Well, it's in the charter that we can do it, so.
So that's what you're saying gonna happen?
I will just bring it up so we can decide and make sure we want to do that. We have a number of items that'll be on the agenda in July to help us if we need to and decide to take the recess. And then we want to come up with some dates for a couple of a couple of events that we called out during budget hearing, like specifically Forest Heights Day. We were looking at doing another September date, so we need to solidify those dates. Then Harvest Day and Christmas tree lighting and some of the other events that we have on the schedule. We just want to get them solidified so that we can get the planning and the information out to the community so they can be successful. And then if we need any partners, nonprofits or faith-based groups to help us bolster our outreach or just our budget, we can do that now. Councilmember Noble?
Just on that comment about the events, as it relates to the community, I think that's where we can engage our faith-based communities, because like I know Harvest Day, some churches do that. So we can, just try to come together as a community and talk to the faith-based. So maybe we could have a meeting scheduled with them.
Okay. Last thing so for Forest Heights Day, since that's probably one of the bigger ones, the date that could fluctuate the most since it's not set in stone. I took a look at the calendar. We could potentially do a September 21st or 28th. So maybe between now and next meeting, council can bring some feedback about if one of those dates work. And also if we want to appoint some folks to a committee to help plan and run the event, to think about that as well.
What were the 2 dates?
September 21st and September 28th. And those 2 dates are taking into account the fact that Harvest Day traditionally happens around Halloween, but Halloween will be on a Wednesday or Thursday this year. So we'll either be looking at October 26th or November 2nd. So we try to give at least 4 weeks between Forest Heights Day and Harvest Day, if we can. Councilmember Noble?
I'm sorry. Police Department, correct me if I'm wrong. We will have National Night Out. Thank you. And that is
August, the first Monday in August.
No,
Okay, it's Monday in August.
okay.
And National Night Out is actually Tuesday, August 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday, okay. First Tuesday of the, no.
Yes, ma'am.
So it didn't seem right, huh?
It didn't seem right, but I was going along.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may reference August,
Oh, yeah.
your indulgence.
Yes.
So the request for the recess in August is coming from the town administrator's office. The staff break up with all of the work. And also So I just wanted to be candid that that's where it's come from. I requested from the mayor to do that, especially onboarding, hopefully a new clerk and getting them up to speed with everything going on. It'd be really nice to do that. If it's not possible, it's not, and we'll do what we got to do. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, it's just brought up because it's on the books if we decide to do it. So
Wait, how is it on the books?
we passed the ordinance that allows the council to recess in August.
That 1 year. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not on the book.
Thank you, council.
And I think even with that, we agreed if something comes up, then we have to meet. I mean, the town's not going to shut down. The government isn't going to stop. If something is critical, then we have to come to this table. So
Yeah, and last August, we had to call a special meeting to appoint I believe to appoint our council member. It was in October. Well, we had to call a special meeting to consider the appointment and to fill the vacancy and some things like that. So we'll do that as needed.
that will be a blessing.
Well, exigent concerns came up we had to deal with. Hopefully by then we'll have a town administrator identified as well. Yeah, we're in a rebuilding phase. We had a lot of meetings, council member. We did. We're in a rebuilding phase and we're gonna come back stronger and better. We're starting to see some of our residents turn out regularly, and those who are here in the audience are enthusiastic about where we've been, where we're going, and about it being a part of the change that we're making. So thank you for being here. We serve you. It's our pleasure to do so. It's not always easy, but it's our pleasure to do so and our responsibility. And so if there's no other new business, the time is now 10:32. I know you have an early wake up. I wake up the same time as you. So this meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.